In this video, we are going over the concepts of Chapter 5, which is titled Chemical Reactions. Chemical reactions are another word that can be utilized for chemical change. And chemical change or chemical reactions occurs when a substance is converted into one or more substances with different chemical formulas and different properties, both chemical and physical. There are a few indications if a chemical reaction has occurred. Here on the right side of the slide, we have illustrations for all the different indicators for a chemical reaction. They include a color change. So when you combine a substance with a different substance, or if there's a substance that is turning into other substances, then we can see that a color change can result. We can also have the formation of a precipitate, in other words, the formation of a solid, which means that if we have a solution that previously was clear, and then upon addition of a substance, there's the production of a solid. And as you can see here specifically is the production of this white solid. That means that a chemical reaction has happened. We can also have the formation of a gas. And when this occurs, if upon the reaction happening, one of the substances that is created as a gas, one of the things that overall is observed is that there is bubbling in the solution. Next, we have the emission of light. Some chemical reactions result in the emission of light. And lastly, we can have reactions that produce heat or that they absorb heat. In the image that we have in the following slide, we see that a chemical reaction has occurred and the flame is actually showing how heat is emitted. When we have chemical reactions, we are going to write a chemical equation to represent the change that those substances or a substance has undergone. When we illustrate this, a chemical equation presents the substances that are about to change, and they are called reactant. And if there's more than one, they are reactants. And we can separate them by a plus sign. Then we put an arrow symbolizing that a chemical reaction can happen. And what gets produced from a chemical reaction is called a product. If more than one product is produced, we can see that a plus sign separates the two substances created. In addition, sometimes reaction requires the addition of heat. And on top of the arrow, if you see this triangle, it symbolizes that heat has been added to the system in order for the reaction to occur. All of these symbolisms have been summarized in the table that we see here, where you see the plus sign, the arrow with the triangle. In addition to that, we can incorporate the state of matter of each of the substances used for a chemical reaction, but also produced. We place the symbol for the state of matter in the bottom right corner of the chemical formula. And when an S in parentheses is utilized, that means that your substance is solid. If you put an L in parentheses, that means that the substance is liquid. G in parentheses means that the substance is gas. Now, there are substances that you can dissolve them in water. And if you do dissolve them in water, we put an AQ next to that substance, symbolizing of this dissolving event that happened, and we label them aqueous. When it comes to chemical reactions, there are three conditions that need to be met in order for a chemical reaction to happen. The first one is collision. Collision establishes that the reactants need to meet. In other words, they need to bump into each other with collision. Now, they also need to be coming together in a correct orientation. So reactants must align properly to break and form bonds. Lastly, energy is involved in the system. The collision of these reactants must provide activation energy in order to produce product. By definition, the activation energy that is required is the minimum energy that those reactants are required in order to produce product. When we talk about reactions in general, chemical reactions, we are always interested in the thermodynamics of the system and also the kinetics of the system. The difference between thermodynamics and kinetics is the essence of each concept. Thermodynamics refers to the heat and energy exchange that happens in a chemical reaction. And this thermodynamics, understand that is going to tell us something about the initial and final states of our reactants and products. And it can even tell us if a reaction is actually spontaneous. On the other hand, kinetics refers to the pace, in other words, the rate of the reaction. And when we talk about kinetics, it tells us about the intermediate states, those states that define when bonds are broken and bonds are made. And in addition, it tells us the speed of the reaction, meaning how fast can reactants convert to product.